Hi everyone, hope you can hear me. What a normal life I have. I've got my washing machine going crazy in the background, so I'm hoping this is going to work today. Welcome to Bramble Ramble. Today I wanted to have a chat about something that has become quite a big thing around here. And most of my videos so far have been to do with chemo, cancer, the effect it has. And for those of you that know, we are about 1 year after the last chemo. The last chemo for Rich, my husband, was on September the 1st last year. And at the time it was a strange feeling, and Rich was at his lowest. And we really didn't know what to expect. We heard people say, recovery can be instant. Recovery can take time, all these different things. So we really didn't know what to expect. And I certainly didn't know what to expect a year on. So I wanted to have a chat to give you our honest feedback of where we are at the moment. Now, I've talked about this before, and we are actually renovated a cottage, Bramble Cottage. So I think it would be honest to say perhaps we are not average, that we've taken on this big challenge. We'd bought the cottage before, which was diagnosed with cancer. And so he finished his last chemo September the 1st. We got back to the UK, I think around October the 5th. And we kind of set foot inside Bramble Cottage, which was completely derelict, about November the 1st. So it's been a really challenging year. One of the things Rich was suffering with a lot at the end of chemo was neuropathy. And so this is a tingling or loss of feeling basically in your fingers and your toes and your feet. And it's been painful. It's made life difficult. And along with the other things of loss of muscle, loss of strength, fatigue, all those other chemo symptoms. Now, Richard's chemo was a really rough and intensive chemo. They were able to do it because he was fit and seemingly healthy. So it was a really aggressive chemo. This took place over 6 months, and each chemo lasted around 4 hours, and it was 2 chemos a month. So you can work that out. And for the first few chemos, he did really well, and then it was really quite a rapid decline. But a year on, I think we're probably at stages that we weren't quite expecting, and life is more challenging than we were expecting. Obviously, anybody that's in remission with cancer, you have that psychological never-ending question: is it coming back? Is it here? Now, we had the all clear again after a year the other week, so that was a huge relief. Tempered, it's always tempered with something. That's the other thing I really want to say, that for us, there's no huge yahoo, that's it. You realise that when you've had cancer, it's something that you live with, this fear that it's back. You live with this worry every time you have to go back to that clinic. Rich had a big scan. This was also a really traumatic day when we went back to see the doctor for the results of the scan, because for the first time in the UK, there was actually a nurse sitting with the doctor. So I think Rich said that he just heard me say, "Oh my God," behind him, because I thought, this is bad. Actually, I think it turns out that it was actually unusual. We should have had a nurse with us, and we should have had more information and booklets and more help for us, because we only saw a doctor. We had nothing else upon. So that's something else is if you move or if you're unsure, do make sure you get it, because it caused us a load of anxiety, and also I think we could have got more information and help, and not felt so adrift, because of course we moved countries, we moved here, and it was without a doubt scary. So that would be a big recommendation. The other things I will say is the neuropathy is slowly improving. It's taken a very long time. Rich said that he is beginning to notice a difference, but it is still taking a major problems for him. He can't count out money, banknotes, and sometimes it's difficult to hold a pen. So those are challenging things, but we see improvement. I would say he's getting fitter. The fatigue is something that's still an ongoing thing, that sometimes, almost for no reason, he's absolutely exhausted. He may have had a couple of really good days, perhaps done a bit more, but then woken up in the morning and within an hour needs to go back to bed. So, don't let that be a major panic for you. This is, now we find out it's normal, and it is just the way of it. They cannot explain particularly why to us. They can't explain why some people recover better than others. It is just an ongoing thing. The other thing they have suggested that he tries, is they've suggested vitamin D to see if that will help with his fatigue. Living in the UK hasn't been the best of summers. We've been slightly lacking in sunlight, and actually we've learned that the government's recommendation is that everybody takes vitamin D supplements. Who knew? I certainly didn't. So he started taking that. So he's been taking that for maybe a week now. So we'll see how those goes on. My main thing I wanted to talk to you about, I don't know whether other people are really suffering with this, but Rich works for a really good company who have been wonderful and a really true help for us, and really accommodating. But he's having a terrible time with concentration. He's finding it incredibly difficult to be able to get motivated for work, to concentrate on work, to apply himself, to be able to work out things that before cancer it wouldn't have been difficult. He's also sometimes missing conversations. We've had this thing to begin with a while ago that we were having a couple of arguments because I was convinced I said something, he was really convinced he said something. Now we're beginning to realise that he seems to be missing key parts. This led to the fear of, was this an onset of dementia? Is this, the sign of chemo? Is this here to last? So these are things that we're going to be working on. We're going to see what we can do, maybe to help Rich to improve it. We're going to see if it's something that he is going to have to live with now, and try and find best ways to manage it. So I will certainly let you know on that, because that's something we had no idea about. We just was not a side effect we were expecting, and certainly after a year, this wasn't something we thought about. So over the next, couple of months, we're going to see if we can improve it, if he can find out if there's anything that's making it worse. Now, without a doubt, he's under an incredible amount of stress because we are renovating. He's working really hard, and money's really, really difficult, really tight. And so he has the worry about the renovation. We need to be we're in a rented accommodation, very nice too, but we need to be out of here in a couple of months. We have to, and at the moment we don't have a bathroom in Bramble. So we've got the worry about that, about us getting the work done. We've got the worry about the finances, worry about the concentration problem. So we're trying to see whether this is making things worse. So we're going to look to see about maybe trying some yoga, some meditation, and we're going to try and find positive ways to move forward. And so maybe in a couple of months I will do another video to say what's worked, what hasn't worked, if we are in a different place to we are today, and I can share any positive things I found with you to try and help you on moves forward. This is something as well I have to point out that Richard, he's never done meditation, I think maybe once. He's never done yoga. So it's always been full on with Rich, full on work, full on renovation. He's not a person to sit. And one of the things I must say is he hasn't stopped since the last chemo, since we arrived in England. He hasn't stopped, and I think this has been a coping mechanism. I think that the fact he's kept constantly busy is meaning he doesn't have to think about what has happened and actually process it. So I think that he's beginning to slow down or think about things maybe a little bit more. He knows he has to face it. He knows that it was life-changing, and he has to live with this fear that it will come back. So I'm going to try, I want to be really honest with you and let you know how we get on and how he does cope, because these are all things that we didn't think about. And basically we hadn't even thought about cancer till he was diagnosed. He'd had no symptoms at all, and so we found out he had cancer. So we battled this cancer. He battled it. He put his all into fighting it and to coping with chemo, but that meant he had no time to actually process it. But between us finding everything out, we had no time really to sit and think. We had to move for treatment. So it's been a complete and utter whirlwind. And I think that it's been a major wrong move to not take the time to truly process what was happening, to talk about those fears that we all have, that huge fear, is he going to make it? The hardest conversation you truly are ever going to have, and you don't want to have it until you are told no, he's not. And we still haven't truly talked about that really dark side, and we know it's there, but to actually talk about, it would be a really sensible thing to say, if this does come back, how are we going to do this? And so I think these are things that you really, I honestly could say to you, please try to do these things as you go along, because I think that this all helps you to process and to truly understand what each other's thinking, because I only wanted to know about Rich and how he was feeling and what I could do to help him. But for Rich, it was really important that I was honest with him. One of the things we did was we said from the word go, we would be honest if we're having a load of fear that day, to say I'm really scared. Now I would be honest, I never did say, oh my God, what if? We didn't. There was a while we were told Rich did have 3 months to live, but that was such a traumatic time that basically we still, and I actually got to the point, there was one night when I lay in bed and I was crying. I was just crying, so overwhelmed. And and then the stupid thing I was thinking about was his garage was absolutely full to the brim with tools, rubbish, some of it, all this stuff. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do with this. And when I wake up in the morning, it was obvious. I don't care. None of that matters. Just doesn't matter in the ground. It just doesn't matter. But in the middle of the night, that was the thing that I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But the reality was, it was, what am I going to do without him? Not the garage, because none of those things mattered. And the reality is, I'll find a way to deal with it. I would. So it was really good advice to sit and talk to each other. And I think with this video, I would hope that I can tell you that there are far more positive days than negative days. And we have challenges we didn't expect to have. And Rich is finding it really difficult because he didn't expect to be in this situation a year on. He's had some counselling, and that's really helped him, because we are both different people now than we were then, but that's okay. And I think for 99% we're better for it, and we're stronger for it, and those things are good that comes from it. But there are things that we didn't expect to have to deal with a year later. So I want you to know that if things aren't going quite as you expect, or you're not recovering as quickly as you expected, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And we spoke to a doctor, there's no rhyme or reason. Some recover, as I said, faster than others. So it's okay. But I would like us, as we go through and we try things, I want to let you know to say, wow, this really helped this thing. Or no, it didn't work. So at least we can maybe say, try this, if this may help you. Because the more people we can communicate and help each other, it's a far better place to be in. So I hope that this can be of some help to you. And, if you have cancer or your loved one has cancer, I cannot tell you the strength we all have in us to beat this thing, to try as hard as we can, to suddenly realise every day is just a wonderful day to wake up, and we're so lucky to have it. Those are things, precious things you learn, and you're never going to take for granted ever again. Every day is a wonderful, wonderful day. You just find this love that you always had for each other, but boy, it is there for all to see, and it's wonderful, and those things you can truly embrace. So a year on, we're feeling really positive. We're feeling like we're definitely going in the right direction. There are definitely challenges, but we're going to be working on those. So stay with us. I'm going to be doing other videos talking about different things, and try and help anybody there. But we can really surely beat this disease, and we're not going down without a fight, that's for sure. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thanks for watching, and keep on bramble rambling. Thank you. Bye bye.